All right, here we go. Another session of Talk AI with Gabe Larson. Today, I'm actually going to interview Gabe because Gabe's an expert at this. Gabe, so today's an interesting conversation. I mean, I hate to say that Gabe's an expert at anything because look, the screen is only so big. Like I don't know how much it can actually hold over there, but we're going to get into this. So let me throw context to what we're going to talk about today. So just 3 days ago, this is again, the AI space is in this crazy flux and it's changing at an increasing rate. I think I'm being told that I'm frozen. So what we're going to try and fix you guys, all those watching, be patient. This won't take but a second. We will change my Wi-Fi. This is lovely. Stand by.
Sometimes you just got these issues, but it doesn't matter. We work through them, and that's just the way that life goes. Let's see if we can get Dave back on. Give me just a second here. If not, we just go ourselves and kind of dive into this, and that might be the way we got to be it. So I'm going to push Dave out for a second and see if he comes back in. Dave, you with us? Oh, no, still nothing. All right. Well, I'm going to go at it alone until Dave jumps back in. I'm sure he'll add context. But today, you guys, I wanted to talk all things customer service. Dave's got some great context about some of the stuff going on in customer service right now. I've been doing this for the last 5 years. And Dave, you coming in now? Oh. We got two. We got two Daves. Let's see it. Let's see it. You back?
No, that's not going to work here.
You back, Dave? No? No dice? No. All right. Well, we'll go without him. But he did have some great context, and I think it would have been super valuable to have him involved. Dave, text me if you're ready to jump in, and we'll get you back in here. Okay. So customer service, you guys, there's so much going on in this space, some real interesting context, but ultimately we believe that customer service, look, it's been more or less broken, and it has been broken for a while. I want to flash just a couple things here if I can. I'm going to bring this on stage so you can kind of see it. This stats one I've been talking about for a while, customer service. It's 3.7 trillion. It's $1 trillion lost annually to poor customer service. And boy, have companies been working to see if they can solve this problem for a long time. I grabbed this off G2 Crowd. Hopefully they don't mind it. This is just the help desk space, but boy, there's so many different technologies out there that have been trying to solve how can you make customer service better. That's from customer experience tools to survey tools to help desk tools, etc. The challenge is there's still a lot of problems. There's still a lot of problems. I've been contemplating what are some of those problems that ultimately have caused that 3.7. Here's a couple that jump out to me. I won't throw out too many stats, but one is certainly this idea of speed. So many customers right now want to have their resolution immediately. With that same idea, it's always on, or this 24/7 support. I was calling a phone company the other day, and they only had like a 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Eastern time, and then they closed. I'm thinking, how do I deal with this? Like, I have a problem. It wasn't 24 hours. So speed, always on. And truthfully, it doesn't matter what your team size is or your ability. It just doesn't allow for you to solve some of those challenges because you can't staff accordingly. Okay. Those are a couple that I felt like are still out there. Another one that I feel like has just been so hard to tackle is this idea of channel specific issues. Dave, did I see you pop back on?
I think I'm back. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, I apologize, everybody. I actually live up in the mountains. And so it's hit and miss. So yeah, I did just jump back on, but you're kind of hitting the different capabilities and deficits that exist in the market. So
Yeah,
finish
yeah.
that, and I want to go kind of big picture as soon as
Yeah, I
you kind of
love,
hit
yeah,
those.
yeah. So let me just finish this thought because I was going into that idea, Dave, of
Yeah,
why is customer service broken? And I was thinking there's a couple core issues here. One is speed. Like no matter what your team size is, no matter you can never resolve it fast enough, or you can't be available 24/7, right? That just seems to be
right.
one of those that's a challenge. The thing I was just hitting on was this channel specific concept. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are. It feels like the channel skipping happens. I'll call in, I text in, I
Well,
chat in.
so let me pause you though, because here's the problem with support in general: is if I'm calling into support, I'm pissed off. So just inherently, a support job is really difficult, and the expectations of support are basically 2 feet under, right? Like you're starting from a position of I bought something and I'm frustrated. I need some help. I need a ticket. I need resolution. So every support person in the world has the worst job. It's so hard, right? So in terms of the background of what you're solving, the reason it is bad is because it's just a difficult problem. And most of us have been in a support job, right? So, and again, let me kind of go, 20,000 feet for a second. The whole, there is a need to change this, and that's what you were going into. And at root, Microsoft just made an announcement just a couple of 2 days ago, where they just announced they saved $500 million by using AI to automate more of the support role. And the support role, like I said, is super difficult. Like it's a really challenging job. People are frustrated from the start. It's an entry level job. So oftentimes the people who represent our voice are the newest people in the company, right? Like very few people, go into support in order to build, to be there for the next 30 years. So it's fundamentally problematic. And what I love about your background is you've spent the last 5 years building expertise, learning about this problem. And so, I know you were going into some of the specifics, but at root, one thing you've shared with me is the market is flooded with so many tools. And again, while I was out, you may have hit this, but give some context to what you've seen over the last 5 years.
Yeah. I was kind of hitting that. I just feel like it's the bottom line is it's still not solved, right? Like, look, we've thrown so many different technologies at it. We've thrown outsourced BPOs at it, this country, that country. And ultimately, it just feels like it's still not where it needs to be. And I was trying to debate why. I think your point that you meant, it is just a hard thing to do. So
Yeah.
you're starting always from like two levels below. So that is inherently in there. But like I was kind of alluding, I think there are some challenges that almost no matter what we have, we just haven't been able to really do it. And that always on was the one I was kind of hammering a little bit, because I think what we thought we could do is throw in some self-service bots, put the workflow style in them, and have you kind of click your way through it. But it really like,
well, and how many times do we call into like Delta, or we call into what, and we're just like, talk to an agent, talk to a human, like, because they try to automate this process, and there's so many technologies, and we're just like, no, I just need to talk to a person, because it just doesn't work. You said multi-channel, where I'm chatting, and I'm just chatting enough to either get onto a phone with somebody, right? So
yeah.
So what's the solution? Like how, like, and this is pretty interesting, right? But what do you, I know you've been working with the team to go build something to solve this.
Yeah. So look, I mean, I think there's this new concept called cloud employees, and you kind of defined that, but in our last session. But let me just reiterate it. There's a lot happening in AI and automation, but that's not really where I'm going. This concept is like a fully autonomous entity that is always on, fully trained, context heavy, and can basically hook to your systems necessary to resolve, solve, and satisfy your customers. And so I think the answer is going to be AI. And look, I don't think you're ever going to have this thing where, Dave, all customer service people are, all challengers solved. Everyone's happy. We live in some utopia. But I think some of the stats I was showing with before, speed to lead, customer service not work. I think you are going to see a monumental move forward, and it's going to come in this form of basically these kind of cloud employees. And I'm flashing it on the screen. We've just released out into the market this idea called Miles. And he is a fully autonomous cloud employee designed to help customer support. So this is, I think, going to be the answer.
So let's dig into some of it. And as in background, it's interesting. Some of these features that you're going to highlight here, we're going to be a little extreme, but we were showing this to there was a public company CEO that I was sharing this with, and he was super skeptical, right? Because there's a lot of fear about AI. There's a lot of skepticism. So we get this CEO, I won't name him or his company, but he gets on the phone and he just starts cursing. He's dropping F-bombs at at Miles and just trying to see if he can fluster Miles. And it was fascinating. He was like, Miles was like, hey, look, I can see I've probably offended you. I'm really sorry. I'm just here to help you. And if you look at that, and the funny thing that he said is, if you look at that situation, which it happens, right? Because somebody's really frustrated with some experience they've had, that employee, that support rep is ruined. And that's something he's like, if that happened to one of my support people, he says, if they didn't resign that day, I would be paying for at least 30 days of therapy daily. Cause he's like, it's hard. And the human factor makes it really difficult. But Miles actually, and the advantage of AI is they don't get flustered. They'll do exactly as you say. So share a little bit of its features and what he can do.
Yeah. And I think that's where people are going wrong right now. I mean, they're thinking AI can just be like, IVR on steroids, but that's why I like that word cloud employee, because it really humanizes them and shows you some of the things that are really capable. I'm showing you basically the job here, and it's a little small, but I thought it'd be fun to just highlight a couple areas, and then maybe we can experience Miles together a little bit. But
and before you go into it, so the difference between a cloud employee and an AI, like an AI agent, is very different, and I think it'd be worth highlighting that difference here.
Yeah. Look, I think the tool versus a teammate is, I think it's a bot versus a worker. So a lot of times these agents are being plugged into flows that are being built in, workflow automation technologies, and they're kind of solving one thing. Whereas a cloud employee is really designed to do the whole thing, the job versus the task, not a tool, but a teammate, not a bot, but a worker. And so it is fundamentally different. And that's why this diagram, I think, is fairly important, so that you can see, and it's a little, let me just see if I can zoom in a little bit, but it goes kind of in 4 categories, and then we'll experience Miles together here. But the 4 categories are this pre-resolution area where we're gathering intelligence. So we're going to answer the initiation through any channel, Dave. That's key. So it's phone, it's email, it's chat, right? Now you're going to immediately get personalization because you dip into some of those ticketing tools or in some of those CRMs so that you can recognize some of that.
You're not trying to replace, Salesforce or, where you used to work customer. Like we're enhancing those capabilities, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
because
cool.
we want to, the data is the data, and that those types of systems will forever be important. Just like an agent needs to access that, a cloud employee needs to access that.
Yep.
These steps are pretty cool here. This is a sensing step that the cloud employee, and I'll see if I can demo it in just a minute, but one is language. So that's one that's coming up more often. I speak a little German, and so you can see real time these agents are able to change languages, and it's so great. My Spanish isn't very good, so I might not be able to do that. But in addition to language, Dave, there's doing some tonality and sentiment. And so you can see, rather than having to press 00000, to get to an operator, after about 2 or 3 pushes, you'll find that these cloud employees can sense the escalation needed. And so initially they'll try to solve, but after you maybe push them once or twice, they say, you know what? It feels like this is a little beyond. So they then move into kind of an escalation concept here.
And they'll pull a human on at that point, right?
Yeah, that's
By the
right.
way, in the comments, Daniel made a really interesting distinction where he said the difference between a cloud employee and an AI agent, a cloud employee is more of a lattice, whereas an AI agent is more of a flow. Like we've seen flow technology for years, whereas a lattice is like the cloud employee actually, this is crazy. They actually have the ability to discern what to do. So it's not determinative. It is, they have the option to say, hey, I think at the level of, like you just described, at the level of frustration I'm sensing from this conversation, I need to pull a human on. Or they can say, I'm not sure. Let me evaluate. So it truly is more dynamic.
So that's I think that's kind of in that first part. The second part then is like how it should solve it. And this is kind of where you're going into. And so typically these agents are running through a couple different, if they can just self-solve, they're going to use some of that knowledge-based material to solve it. There's a really cool feature of authentication, meaning if you want to dive deeper into your ability of like, hey, I need to change my credit card, or I need to talk about social security numbers, two-step authentication real time with these agents so that they can run in there. Or ultimately, if they do feel like it's too much or there's too much of an opinion or an they're just going to pass it right over, live transfer, schedule that appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the fun thing here is when you move into step 3, I've kind of called this resolution execution, and it is just they can create tickets in your CRM, and throw that in there, but they're actually going to try to solve it, right? And so they can walk through stuff. It's so fun to talk to Miles and be like, he's like, hey, are you on this screen? Do you see in the left-hand side, you did this button?
Yeah.
I'll wait for you. And they kind of walk through that, and they actually can go pretty deep in that resolution execution standpoint. Okay. And then the last part is just kind of the fulfillment and follow-up. So I've kind of called that the post resolution engagement. And that is ultimately closing the ticket or transferring the ticket, and then making sure that the necessary systems are updated in order to kind of have that in your system, and ultimately potentially some follow-up. Miles can do some amazing things on saying, hey, if the ticket was created, maybe I should be the person to follow up, because we know how sometimes tier 1 agents, they really struggle following up on ticket updates.
So let me pause a little bit though. So we have a Fortune 500 healthcare company using this, and they're deploying it to replace I think 200 support agents. And one of the key requirements, as we've designed this in a way that it basically matches the flow of what a human would do. But the interesting thing that really was compelling for this client, this customer of ours, was think about this, they're doing hundreds and thousands of client interactions a day, some days. And usually, a support rep, by nature being a support rep, they generally are not salespeople. But what they really wanted was an upsell and cross-sell capability. And it is on point. I'm just telling you, this is crazy. Like they're driving pipeline at the end of these conversations. And again, these are so dynamic and they're so manageable and so controllable that you can build these things to actually accomplish much more complex problems than I think what we would typically see in just a human agent.
See, that's so cool, man. Because that has been like the age-old debate. Like, how do you have post-sales people both drive satisfaction but also drive revenue, and to be able to kind of handle those in one entity? To your point, I think could be super powerful. So if it's all right, Dave, I thought maybe I'd give Miles a call, bring him in and see if we can test him here. And live demos are always fun, but should we do it?
Let's do it. All right, it's always risky. It's always risky.
I'm going to try to walk through maybe a couple scenarios, and then we can talk through them real quick. Let's see if we can get him if he's busy. Got to see if my phone. I've got some low reception here. 1 second. Let me see if I can.
Dude, it's the risk of live demos. It's why, again, the same problem with me dropping off this webinar at the beginning of it.
Yeah, right. You kind of win some, you lose some on that front.
Yeah, you do.
Second here.
How we doing? I'll tell a story while he's doing it, unless you get it going.
Yeah, 1 second. It's my reception on my side.
Is that? Yeah. Okay. Well, look, some of the other use cases that we're seeing people use Miles for are these, and Gabe talked about this, some of the more complex solutions. So we actually have a client who's also having them call in and doing multi-factor authentication. And one of those factors is actually a voice print. So once we've validated that the person is actually who they say they are, and they're in Salesforce, or they're in HubSpot, or they're in Go High Level.
I got it.
Oh, we got it? Okay, I'll finish this in a minute.
Yeah, let's see. I think I got him. There we go.
Hello, this is Miles with Signal Support. Am I speaking with Gabe?
Yay, this is Gabe. Miles, how are you?
I'm doing great, Gabe. Thanks for asking. How can I assist you today?
Yeah, I just had a couple questions I was hoping you could help me with. Let's start with this one. I want to get into Signals and build a cloud employee. Can you walk me through how to do that?
Absolutely, Gabe. I'd be happy to help you create a cloud employee. Before we dive in, let me quickly confirm your details so I can create a support case for this. Can I confirm your email address? I have it as gabe@getsignals.com. AI.
That's correct.
right?
Yeah, that's right, Miles. Correct.
Perfect, Gabe. I'll create a case to track this for you. Give me just a moment.
So you can kind of see there, Dave. I'm going to hang up with them real fast, but
Yeah.
a couple things you saw that were pretty cool, right? So number one is the immediate personalization, right? That recognition of the support ticket and kind of how that can kind of happen.
Mhm.
And then number two, jumping right into the ability of creating a case. And I didn't let him finish. He's probably going to be mad at me, but ultimately diving right into your CRM and being able to kind of tackle that, pushing it right into CRM. Quick thoughts on that?
Yeah. So again, the interesting thing is it is fully integrated to your stack, whether you're using Salesforce or customer or whatever ticketing system. It also has access to like SSO. So if you need to make sure that you're authenticating them, that's what I was mentioning before. That personalization is interesting. And the question is, how are we getting access to that? And this is coming through obviously the caller ID they're calling from. This could be from because it's multi-channel, we know what web page they're on currently. So there's a lot of ways we're actually able to add a lot of personalization. And you talked about some of that research capability. As soon as we get that phone number, we could potentially be looking into the web. We could be looking into your tools. We could be looking into even, LinkedIn, depending on, what tools you want to provide, Miles.
Yeah. So I want to see if I can get the language functionality. I'm going to call him back, see if we can do a little German speaking here real quick.
All right. Now we're going to actually validate how good your German is.
Hello? This is Miles with Signal Support. Am I speaking with Gabe?
Ja, hallo Miles. Kannst du auf Deutsch sprechen? Ich würde diese Conversation gern auf Deutsch führen.
Natürlich, Gabe. Wie kann ich Ihnen heute helfen?
Wow, dein Deutsch ist gut. Wie hast du das gelernt?
Danke, Gabe. Ich bin ein Cloud-Mitarbeiter von Signals und meine Sprachfähigkeiten sind programmiert.
Now you're just showing off. Now you're just showing off, dude.
So,
that's crazy. That's pretty crazy.
He says he's a cloud Mitarbeiter. That's like I'm a cloud worker.
But the point is, cool, it's pretty cool.
Sorry, I hung up, but back and forth, Dave. So again, I probably should have said, hey, my German's not that good. Let's go back to English or Spanish. But again, that ability to go real time rather than having to transfer it to a team with that language. I mean, come on, that's kind of cool, isn't it?
That's crazy, right? And do you know, I can't remember how many languages. It's something like 27 languages, isn't it?
I think it's more. I think it's much more than that.
Is it? Okay. I'm not sure. But the point is, you don't have to transfer. So a lot of the cases that we see as we're deploying these cloud employees is it's not that we're just replacing one job. It's potentially lots, because a lot of these support cases get escalated up and then transferred over depending on expertise. And again, that's another, I don't know if we have time to dig into this today, because we're hitting time, but he doesn't just represent level one. It's like level 1 through level 3 support. They get very technical. I'm not sure that we have time to go show some, but
we probably don't. But I was going to go in there with him to kind of walk through that scenario. But again, the amount of information that he can suck up and learn, I think, is extraordinary. Now, obviously, there are limits, but to your point, is that tier 1? Is it tier 2? Certainly in some of these things, where's my order? The challenge of, understanding some of those basic stuff's easy. But I was going to demonstrate, that idea before I hung up on him of, help me set up a cloud employee in Signals. And you would have seen him what kind of navigate, go to this page, go to that page, click this button. And so that type of stuff is pretty powerful.
Well, and just as a quick example, we have a company who's an engineering firm who does a very sophisticated landscaping for think cities and universities, football stadiums. And so they had a client who called into Miles to ask around like a super technical, like an engineering is something around grade and water flow and things like that. And we asked the customer, like, hey, was this right? And he was like, actually, I don't know. It's too advanced for me. I'll have to go get one of our engineers.
Oh man, I had the same thing yesterday. Yeah, I had the same thing yesterday. We were all debating. We were listening to a call, and we had to go in and actually call the owner of the shop to figure out if it was true.
It was even right.
Because it was such specifications, it was like this type of table and this type of dimensions. And I'm like, this cloud employee, Dave, it's
crazy, right?
It must be hallucinating. I think it's making it up, but no, it was spot on. So again, that information, if you want to go detailed in that, it's pretty cool. And then lastly, I'm going to see if I can get this one real quick, because you talked about kind of the rage escalation, but Let me see if I can get Miles and just kind of tick him off real quick here.
Hello?
Miles, it's Gabe. I'm so frustrated.
Clarify what you need.
Yeah, I'm so mad. I'm wondering if you can help me, but I tell you, I'm at the end of my rope.
Gabe, I hear you and am here to help. Let's figure this out together. Can you tell me what's going on?
I just don't think you can help, Miles. I mean, look, I'm a customer and I'm frustrated and I've never been so angry in my entire life.
Gabe, I completely understand how upset you are, and I want to make sure you get the help you need. Let me try to transfer you to a human support agent
See,
who can assist you.
That's phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah,
look,
that's crazy, right?
Like, that's not pressing
Yeah.
one Dave 1,000 times. That's not saying representative. It's just, and probably wasn't that natural. I didn't even know how to be mad. I suck at being mad.
I was going to say that's the most mad I've ever seen you in my life. If it's for those watching, I don't know that Gabe actually knows how to get mad.
I should have prepped on like what to say to be mad. But the point is,
Send that to me next time. I'm a pro.
He recognized the tonality, some of those word
Yeah,
choices, frustrated, pissed off, end of rope, and ultimately said, you know what, maybe I back off and do it. So, guys, there's some cool stuff, Dave, but I wanted today to just kind of say, look, having been in customer service for a long time, I don't know if it'll ever be perfect. It's a tough role, and boy, do we appreciate all you guys do on the front line.
For sure.
These people are here to help, and I think you will see some of those challenges, speed, personalization, omni-channel. They're going to take an uptick as you employ cloud employees like you've never seen.
Well, and let me highlight one last thing. There's people who are watching this who are like, well, okay, I am a support person or I am a support manager. What does that mean for me? And you just got a raise, like you just got promoted. There is a need for people to manage, to build, to train, to tune. All of your expertise is probably more valuable than it was before. They don't learn this stuff just naturally, and they need your help. So don't think of this as something that's replacing you. You just got a promotion where you're now managing a team of cloud employees. And so just as you consider this, think collaboratively. This is a way for you to develop and build more in your career.
I love it. All right. Well, Dave, again, appreciate the time, man, for the audience.
Thanks,
Have a
Gabe.
fantastic day.
It's amazing.